In our most recent Canon Fodder, issue 125, titled Of Protocols and Prisons, we get some more information about the Arbiter's whereabouts in Halo Outcasts, got some more info on the Rubicon protocol and learned exactly what it is, as well as got a variety of lore about the Flood, Cylixes, and the various outposts scattered throughout Halo Infinite's campaign. All that and more in Canon Fodder issue 125 of Protocols and Prisons. In last month's Canon Fodder, our resident Canon Fodder writer Alex Wakeford introduced a Halo novel in the works by the name of Halo Outcasts. Here's a quick summary that we were given about that story.
2559. Formerly one of the Covenant's greatest and most fearsome warriors, Arbiter Thel 'Vadam is now allied with his former human enemies, while deeply entrenched in leading the Sangheili people to a new era of unification. But his aspirations are under constant threat, whether by the dangerous warring factions of rival Sangheili keeps, or the relentless shadow of oppression spread by the renegade artificial intelligence Cortana. An opportunity to break Cortana's chains has suddenly presented itself through the rumored existence of an ancient artifact located in the hostile world of Netherrup. Spartan Olympia Vale, trained with the skills to live and thrive among the Sangheili, also recognizes this alien prize as an essential means to aid humanity in reaching the same goal of freedom. But behind the scenes, both Vadam and Vale are being manipulated by a mysterious figure with their own agenda. And to make matters worse, all involved are unknowingly placing themselves at perilous odds with forces beyond their comprehension.
When they teased Outcast last month, we actually got this exact same summary, but now we're actually given our first look at the cover art for the novel. This art depicts Vale and Arbiter standing somewhere on probably that mentioned planet Netherrup, but in terms of the current timeline, the story will be taking place about a year before the events of Halo Infinite, or at least in the year 2559, and it seems that our two protagonists will be shadowed by another elite wearing some interesting looking armor. I actually had like a really long-winded theory claiming that this guy might be part of the Silent Shadow, which, as you know in Halo lore, actually sided with the Banished, so the reason that he's colluding with the Arbiter and Vale is because the Banished are looking for super weapons that they can use in their blitzkrieg attempt to take over the galaxy. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. This guy could potentially be a member of the Silent Shadow. If you look at his armor, it kind of has that same shoulder pauldrons. The helmet is obviously a little different. It's kind of hard to tell. Maybe it's more like a Spec Ops Elite, kind of the armor variation from Halo Reach. But yeah, I mean, I don't know a lot about this guy yet. I don't know if there's actually more information regarding who this character could be, but my thought is that when they mention that mysterious figure that is, you know, has ulterior motives in that summary, I just kind of get the vibe that maybe that will be this character, given that he's kind of tailing them. So yeah. I also want to mention that originally in Halo Infinite there was some concept art depicting the Arbiter accompanied by a Spartan. Now I don't know if it's discernible who that Spartan is, or I don't know if this is supposed to represent Linda, but kind of maybe. I don't know who this is, but it's fantastic that at least in some fashion this story element is going to be expanded on. While we led with some information about Halo Outcasts, Halo the Rubicon Protocol will actually be releasing earlier, coming this August. The story will follow Spartans Coven, Horvath, and Stone immediately after the UNSC falls to the Banished ambush above Zeta Halo. Here's a quick summary of that novel.
2560. Humanity finds its back against the wall after the United Nations Space Command flagship Infinity dropped out of slipspace into a devastating ambush launched by the Banished. As this fierce enemy alliance seeks to claim a powerful weapon hidden within the ancient Forerunner ring world known as Zeta Halo, the surviving UNSC forces now find themselves compromised and its leadership out of reach, with the remaining personnel forced to abandon ship and take their chances on the fractured, unpredictable surface of the ring. Now survival in this strange alien environment, whether for Spartan super soldiers or those who never thought they would see the battle up close, is measured day to day against a relentless and brutal adversary that always has the upper hand. Desperation grows, but the will to keep on fighting and enduring, no matter the odds, is never in doubt, even as the Banished seek to unleash a frightening enemy that could doom them all.
The article actually shared with us a quote from the Halo Infinite audio logs, so here it is.
Slow the Banished by any means necessary.
And keep Zeta Halo out of their control. Buy Earth as much time as we can. That's our mission now.
In terms of where we are now with the story, obviously the created uprising is kind of settled a little bit, and now the main antagonist is of course the Banished. All of the surviving UNSC forces scattered across Zeta Halo were tasked with regrouping and doing everything in their absolute power to prevent the Banished from taking full control of Zeta Halo. With all of that said, Halo the Rubicon Protocol is slated to be released in August of this year. With Halo the Master Chief Collection adding Flood Firefight to its massive roster of game modes, Alex saw this as an opportunity to delve into some deep Flood lore from the Halo universe. And believe it or not, we're going to start off with some Spartan Assault lore, which I often forget that these games exist, and if I'm being honest, I honestly had no freaking idea that there were Flood. Yeah, there's Flood, didn't know it. Included in the Xbox version of Spartan Assault, we saw the addition of 5 simulated co-op missions, which highlighted the UNSC's training of Spartan soldiers against a Flood outbreak. As revealed by the UNSC Infinity's AI Roland during a cinematic, this very Flood training program was created as a direct response to the Flood outbreak that occurred in 2552 during the events of Halo 3. Whereas the UNSC allowed the elites to glass the infested areas of Earth to prevent the spread of the Flood, they opted to, in the future, utilize Spartans instead as the first line of defense. However, there are also specifically trained UNSC personnel who were trusted with similar simulation-based training. But I must emphasize, this is only a select few, as not everyone can mentally or physically handle the horrors that they would see. According to the Spartan IV Field Manual, Spartans in particular are officially prohibited from gathering samples of Flood biomatter or attempting treatment of infected individuals as part of Emergency Contact Protocol Upsilon. When this protocol is in place, all UEG and UNSC rules of engagement are suspended, as containment is top priority. If the safeguards fail and a Spartan becomes infected by the Flood, Corruptor Protocol is declared. This prompts the authorization of weapons of mass destruction, such as orbital max strikes and deployment of fusion warheads. While the simulations exist depicting a Spartan infection, there have been no reported cases of this actually happening. But it is clear how far the UNSC is willing to go to prevent further disaster should it end up happening. On the topic of the Flood and safeguards against them, we were also given a PDF version of the section from Halo Silentium. This section of the novel covers the immediate aftermath of the Halo array firing in the very distant past of the Halo universe. And if you want, you can head over to the article and download and read it for yourself. Alright, so I'm going to level with you guys. This section of the article is definitely the most dense, but to summarize, we're given an in-depth description of all of the Banished and UNSC outposts scattered throughout the Halo Infinite campaign. There's a lot in this section here, so instead of me reading them in this video, let's just read one of the descriptions, and then later this month, I'll release a video that covers all of the others in its own specific video. As a teaser though, let's talk about Outpost Tremonius. The UNSC Mortal Reverie was a Mulsane-class frigate that crashed on Zeta Halo following the Banished strategic ambush of the UNSC Infinity and its escort fleet. On December 15, 2559, the wreckage of the ship was located by Spartan Vedra Makovich, and it became the centralized base of operations for surviving UNSC forces in this localized area of the ring. This makeshift fortification would not last, however, as the Banished, led by Chieftain Tremonius and Captain Arthok, assaulted the Reverie on January 31, 2560, and claimed the site for themselves. Escharum rewarded Tremonius for his victory by naming the subsequent outpost in his honor. Halo lore is plentiful with obscure references and minute details, and in Halo Infinite, there were a few that were expanded on with great importance, especially when it came to the Cylixes. Originally introduced in Halo Origins, the Cylixes were depicted as a means for the Forerunners to store and catalog individuals of a species while the Halo array was fired. Once the cleansing of the Flood-infested galaxy had finished, the Cylixes were sent to the species' original homeworlds, where they then reseeded life to begin again. Before Halo Infinite, though, there were very few notable appearances for this piece of Forerunner storage technology, being seen as a symbol of hope and renewal. Yet, like we discover in the post-credit scene of Halo Infinite, they could also be used as a prison, as they were used to contain the entirety of the Xalanan species. This same sort of parallel can be seen with the Didax Cryptum from Halo 4. While it kept the Didact safe from the effects of the Halo array, it was also the holding cell where the Librarian's intent was to imprison him for the foreseeable future. While in canon this Forerunner technology is as old as the Halo rings themselves, its use as a plot device in Halo Infinite acts as its introduction into the main continuity, and their importance to the future of Halo Infinite's story is loud and clear. As always, we finish off this article with more fan questions being answered. I actually need to say, there were some cool ones this time, like an update on New Phoenix post the Composer event, what it's like for life on the UNSC Infinity for Spartan 4s, or what it was like, I guess, as well as an official statement regarding the location of Red Team, you know, those guys from Halo Wars, both before and during the events of Halo Infinite's campaign, depending on how you look at it. Whew, all right. That finishes out Canon Fodder issue 125 of Protocols and Prisons. If you haven't already, remember to like the video if you enjoyed, and consider subscribing for more Canon Fodder summaries, Halo lore, and more. There was a lot of content from this Canon Fodder that I'm going to actually repurpose for more bite-sized videos with the YouTube Shorts, so keep your eyes peeled for that stuff moving forward. And two, after this Canon Fodder's live, I'm going to start working on that campaign Outpost video that I mentioned earlier, so be on the lookout for that as well. Thanks for sticking with me, guys, but that's all for today. I'll see you next time.